I realize like there's certain things I want to try to work on while stream or podcasting, and one is the amount of and,
What do you,
yeah,
what do you mean?
those kind of things. But that is actually like as I do it
It's
again,
hard.
a genuine speaking issue for everybody who tries public speaking.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
funny when you
common.
watch like a public speaker and you just hear all the and you're like, he didn't practice.
I mean, hey, if Obama does it, it can't be that bad.
But his is stylish. His
It
is
is.
his is like and you're like,
He goes, you go,
for every I will
This is going nowhere fast.
It's going nowhere. So, welcome to the Dancers Paradise Podcast DLC edition. Today, myself and Mr. Kylar over here
Hello.
will be talking about something very near and dear to our hearts. Tyson, back up. Back up.
We're talking about Tyson today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tyson today and how his breast stinks and he always touches me. Leave me alone. We're going to be talking about something very near and dear to our hearts, which is the game of Overwatch. Now, there have been some recent developments that are maybe positive, maybe negative, depending on how you want to look at it. We'll get into that, but first, just so you know a little about myself, I originally started streaming Overwatch. I played it like when it first came out, and then there was other stuff going on, so I played it for a day. There was no competitive, and it was very unpleasant. I played Roadhog too, I remember specifically. And then I put the game away for months and months and months and never touched it, and I hated it. And then it came out with competitive mode, and then I played that, and I was like a diamond average player on PS4, and started streaming it on PC. And we're kind of diamond now. I never wanted to push past, so I know a little bit about the game, but I'm no professional. We just like it.
Yeah, mostly same here. I started playing a lot later though. I didn't play until it was between when Wrecking Ball was announced and when it came out. I know it was like a month period when that happened. So it was after Brigida came out and during when Wrecking Ball was coming. So that was like mid 2018, I think it was. But that's when I started playing.
I wondered. I didn't know when you started because you're always playing it. You're always in quick play, and I'm like, how could he want to play so much? And I'm like, I've been playing this for like what? 2014 is when it came out. 2013. I've been playing this shit for
2016. Yeah, it came in 2016.
Yeah, so like 5 years of playing this game.
Years.
No wonder I'm sick of it from time to time.
But I haven't been playing it as long. And usually you play a lot of competitive compared to me. I play a lot of quick play. I've done competitive and I've placed, I've gotten to diamond in every role. But usually I play healer and I stay in low diamond there.
I've tried to push past and immediately gotten disinterested because once you hit a certain point, it stops being fun and it starts becoming work. And I mean, I've pushed my way to mid diamond and just kind of stopped. I'm almost like nervous to try and push harder just because people expect more and I fuck around too much and I feel bad.
I've noticed that because when I first started playing, I placed like just gold, like 2000 something. I don't remember exactly what number, but it was literally just barely gold. And I've climbed since then to diamond. Not really trying to, just kind of playing the game. And I've since gotten there. And I've noticed that your teammates and everything don't really get better. They actually get worse.
And they get angrier.
People just they get more and more angry, and because they just expect more out of you, especially as a support player. You get yelled at a lot.
It's super hard to climb as support too. Like as a tank, you get yelled at a lot, but you can actually make plays yourself and make a real impact on the team. As support, you don't really see the impact. You just notice that everybody's still alive, and that's there's not a lot of glory in that. But I find platinum to be the most fun to play, and people kind of know what they're doing and they're not as angry. It's like the most average rank, I would guess. People below that seem to misunderstand a lot of things about the game and yet think they understand more than they do. And above that, people are just angry and expecting things. So Plat's kind of like the sweet spot, at least in my opinion. Um, but none of that matters. What we're here to talk about is uh, the departure from Blizzard, or is he leaving Blizzard, or just Overwatch?
Yeah, he's from what I understand, he's actually leaving the company. So Jeff Kaplan, who's the lead director and also one of the vice presidents of Blizzard Entertainment as well, is leaving the company. He's actually already left.
They haven't given a distinct reason as to why, but it doesn't seem like it's nobody's really asking why, from what I can tell. It's more so uh it's not really problematic. I mean, the guy they got to fill his place, we streamed the Blizz thing, the BlizzCon,
Yeah,
and that's where I first saw Darren is his name, I believe.
Aaron Keller.
Aaron Keller. Um and he seemed like a really chill dude. Like I got no problems with him. Personally, I never I like the Jeff Kaplan memes and whatnot, but I really just play the game. Like I don't read the comics or follow Overwatch culture that much. I don't care for the backstory. I just like the competitive nature of the game.
Yeah.
But it was interesting that compared to a lot of other similar games, Overwatch had a face. Overwatch had something everybody could latch onto. It wasn't just whoever's working for Destiny devs, like you had
Bungie
somebody
guys.
yeah, hey Bungie, we need you to do the no, it's just one day everybody say, hey Jeff, help us out, and then he'd be memed to hell and back and do all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah,
it's gonna be weird without having Jeff, like, when those updates always came out, like, hey, it's Jeff from the Overwatch team. It's gonna be strange not having that.
absolutely.
But the other thing that we are covering is basically there was a exclusive interview that GameSpot did with Aaron Keller in order to address some of the issues. And there are a few things that came out of the interview that we're just going to go through and basically talk about. And the focus is mainly just kind of about Overwatch 2, what's kind of coming to light, at least what I think, based on what is happening for this through this interview, and also just kind of the thoughts on where the state for Overwatch right now is and what's actually going to be happening with Overwatch 2 and expectations, that kind of thing.
Speaking of the state of Overwatch, what is your take on the game at this point? Because you've been around it a lot, not nearly as long as I have. So I've kind of seen it go up and down and left and right and whichever way it felt like going. But what do you kind of feel about Overwatch as it stands, 4/29/21?
I remember even before I started playing, there were always people saying how Overwatch was a dead game. Even back in like 2 years after it came out, people were saying Overwatch is a dead game. It's a horrible game. And then I played it and I actually liked it a lot and I started playing it. And I remember hearing Overwatch is a dead game and thinking, no, it's so good. It's way too much fun to not play the game. And
it is. It's so distinct. I mean, when you think of all the other shooters and whatnot, when you see Overwatch on the screen, it's Overwatch. I look at every other game out right now and I'm like, is that Destiny again? No, it's Outriders. Is that Destiny? No, it's Rogue Company. Is that Destiny? No, it's Scavengers. It all just it blends. Everything is just so similar that it's, and Overwatch is just bright colors and distinct characters and like really quick gameplay. Like everything about it is attractive on the outside, at least.
Yeah, honestly, Overwatch just kind of took TF2 and I don't want to say like perfected it. I think it's more accurate to say it defined the team shooter genre. Like that genre of game, Overwatch kind of defined it, and it ended up killing other games too. Like Battleborn was kind of the same. There've been other similar games to Overwatch, but none of them have been nearly as successful as Overwatch has.
No,
even
they never.
TF2 right now.
They like TF2. I remember I tried TF2 a little after Overwatch, and it just felt. I mean, it was dated by that time, but it still felt super clunky, and I mean, everything about Overwatch just feels good. It plays well. It handles well. I've never had connection issues. I've never dealt with any of the shit that I deal with Smite on a daily basis. Like everything about it.
Yeah, but having said like hearing people say like it's a dead game, like back then, even like I'd say last year, I didn't even think that. But I think now I probably agree that the game is pretty dead. Like the fact is that there's nothing really to look forward to.
That is a
All
huge factor. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing to look forward to. They've straight out said like there's no heroes coming. The one map we got, that we haven't had since Havana as like a main game mode map, was for deathmatch, which at least I don't play. I don't know anyone that actually does do deathmatch consistently.
So like I said, I've been around and seen the ups and downs, and the last really down point I remember was the meta with Symmetra and Mei and two shield tanks, and it made the game unbearable. I did not want to play the game. That's the only things that have ever really torn the game down in its peaks and valleys is meta changes that make the game unfun. If you have a whole cast of characters and the whole point of Overwatch is to be able to switch between characters and have fun, and then they just throw some characters in the trash and never fix them, it defeats the purpose. And so lately they've kind of done that. We have Brigitte, who's just always been a mess. We have Ball, who is one of my mains that I just can't even play anymore. He's the most fun I've ever had on a character, and they just made him unplayable. I mean, I'm sure there's people who still play him at a high enough rank, but like, he lost all of his fun when you take away his core mechanics. They had Paris and Horizon, two maps that were that look nice, but they're junky, and they just never fixed them. And like you were saying, instead of fixing them, they added a team deathmatch map or a free for all map.
Deathmatch, yeah.
It's a game that is played competitively in the pro scene, and then they want to add stuff for that, and the next step for them is Overwatch 2, which, I was I'm not one to be mad at a game and like throw a little nerd fit, but like to not announce anything really about it in the BlizzCon, to not give me any dates to look forward to, or, just be pretty vague on everything. And then they've done this most recent event, which showcases their previous PvE abilities. If you didn't know, Overwatch 2 is going to be more PvE based. And it's going to have the same competitive basis as well. They're trying to encompass everything into one game. But after showcasing their previous attempt at PvE with this last Overwatch event, it was the worst way to go about things. And this is where I can kind of come with you and say the game does feel like it's becoming less and less. It's falling farther and farther down my priority list of games to play. Because there's just, they said here, play our terrible PvE game mode to win skins that aren't worth it. And there will be no new characters. What was the last new character? Echo?
Yep.
And that's when I know a game is dead. You see any fighting game, when you have a character come out that just can do all the same stuff as every other character. In fact, I was thinking about it today. I was like driving and I was like, what was the last time I really hated Overwatch? And it was when Echo first came out and she transformed into a diva in front of me, exploded, took half my team, turned into diva again, exploded again, and took the rest of my team out. And I said, I'm done. I think that was the last time I rage quit a game. I said, no, not this. This is a garbage situation. I don't want to play anymore. And since then, it's just they've taken the characters that I play and just made them, I'm a Reinhardt main at heart. They just keep hurting my boy, and I don't know what to do.
Quickly turning into a rant, and I love it.
Oh man, like I said, I was thinking about it today, and that's the game that I've spent the most time on ever. And I when it's good, it's so much fun. When you have the right people playing with you, when you got your character and everything's fine, your character don't need to be overpowered, but and maybe, hog players love it right now, but I struggle to want to play when everything I like about the game just keeps getting taken away.
Well, here's the thing, is when I say like the game is dying, or it feels like there's nothing to like look forward to, it's like you can feel that with everyone else you're playing with.
Yep.
Like when you hop into a game and you're trying to talk to other people, no one sounds like they're having fun. Like it's like everyone's on autopilot. Everyone's just kind of playing the game, and that's just about it. Um,
That's a good way to put it. It does feel like the games are autopilot. I'm,
yeah,
not
it's not even
trying.
the content drop or content drought that makes it evident. It's just how like it feels to play with other people. No one is really sounds happy playing this game. It's like they want to because it's fun, but at the same time there's like a feeling of no hope. Like this is all we're ever gonna get and it's downhill.
And with no release date on Overwatch 2 and Jeff leaving the team, it's kind of like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Now, and I was thinking about that as well today. Maybe Jeff is just kind of out of ideas, with not able to put a release date on something. I imagine from his position, he feels that as well. Looking at this game that's been your bread and butter for years and years and years, and being like, well, I can't tell the people there's anything new coming. I can't tell them when the next thing's happening. I can't tell them big changes are going to happening. Nothing
Yeah.
has changed about the game since Echo came out, except minor tweaks to characters based on pro players' abilities, which ruins it for the rest of us. It's like
It could
it's
be, yeah. At this point, you can really only speculate why he left, and
absolutely. I'm not saying that's why he left. I'm
yeah.
just playing devil's advocate on his side, going, well, here's maybe a reason why he could have been less happy. I don't know. Um,
But let's try and get into the questions here. So there was a whole interview. There were multiple questions that the interviewer asked. Actually, some people were hating on the questions he asked because they weren't really relevant to Overwatch 2.
there's a lot of
Um,
softball stuff.
yeah, I didn't really mind it just because I think he and I know too that if he asks only about Overwatch 2, he's not going to get any answers whatsoever. So
I'm
I
glad he
wasn't too
didn't.
concerned.
I don't
Yeah.
want to hear about Overwatch 2 until the release date is announced. Although that
But
doesn't mean anything anymore anyway, so.
but so we cherry picked like just three questions that he asked and some of the information that we got out of it that I took note here, some things that we can talk about. So we'll start with the first question, or the first question that we picked. The interviewer, who was what's his name? I already forgot. It's Timur. Yeah, Timur Hussein. He asked, "We've heard a lot about Overwatch 2 and what you'd want to do with the PVE. But speaking more broadly, including Overwatch and Overwatch 2, because they're both going to be active, what is the vision for Overwatch from you in a leadership position for the franchise going forward?" So this is a good question, mostly because it's kind of brought into light, like now that Jeff has basically left, there's a real opportunity here for kind of things to change. And he goes more further into it too in other questions. But he basically is asking like, what can we expect changing now that you are the lead or director of Overwatch instead of Jeff Kaplan? And he says some interesting things in here. One, he goes into the difference between the PVE and PvP side of Overwatch 2. So one of the parts that he says, for me, Overwatch 2, there are two halves to it. And I know we spent a lot of time talking about the PvE side of the game is with our hero missions, our campaign, and the progression system that drives all of it. But the other side of the game is just as important, if not more important, and that's the PvP side of the game. We have 60 million players that love that side of the game and are attached to that side of the game. We know going forward, we have to make the next best version of the team-based shooter. So to me, yes, there is this PvE side of Overwatch 2, but I am very focused on the PvP side of the game, and I want to make that as compelling as we possibly can. So that last sentence that he said stuck out to me. To me, yes, there is this PvE side of Overwatch 2, but I am very focused on the PvP side of the game, and I want to make that as compelling as we possibly can. For me, that threw up some hella red flags. Because my initial thoughts for what Overwatch 2 was it was a sequel kind of expansion kind of deal where they're adding a PvE side to Overwatch that includes story missions, including in their words they described it as a Diablo adventure mode esque gameplay to kind of invite people that don't really like PvP games to kind of join in and play with their friends and just play the game in general. So that's what I thought was holding up our content for Overwatch 1. But then they say that they are very focused on PvP, and that he's almost referring to the PvE side as just like as almost side content. Um, And the thing that makes this very concerning is that they have said that Overwatch 1, uh, people that purchase Overwatch 1 at least, if they are only interested in the PvP content, will not have to buy Overwatch 2 because it will be included with it. You only have to purchase Overwatch 2 for the new game engine and the PvE content, right?
It's there was something else they mentioned. This is kind of down the, this may not be in the questions, but they were talking about I guess Jeff wasn't interested in battle passes, and I mean, there's loot boxes in Overwatch, but you don't need them. You can just play the game and unlock everything if you just play enough, and it's not even difficult. I'm sitting on however many loot boxes because I'm done. And so you would think that if they want to keep that going, and that was one of the big draws to me, is you buy the game and then you don't have to buy anything else if you don't want to. And now they're talking more about, Battle Pass has come into their lexicon. They are looking more at the financial issues. I don't know if they're issues per se, but the financial gain of Overwatch 2, and they might just nix that whole, oh, you don't have to buy Overwatch 2. You can still play it. If it makes them money, and we know how Blizzard is, they're gonna do it. I never really bought into the whole, if you have Overwatch, you're gonna be fine. Like that never made sense to me.
That's what's confusing, because that's what Jeff had said at BlizzCon when this was announced, and that becomes a problem, because it's like, well, if PvP is just this huge part of Overwatch 2, as you say it is, and I don't need to buy Overwatch 2 in order to get that content, then why am I waiting? Why not just give me that content? And you get a glimpse of the content that we're supposed to be getting in BlizzCon from this year. Because they showed multiple maps, which it makes sense that maybe they can't release the maps because they might not be fully done yet. They didn't show everything for it, sure. But some of the other content that they showed was the idea for role-based abilities and reworks for Rein. And it's like, you could add those right now. Like, you could press a button and add that to the game at this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I waiting for Overwatch 2 for this? If one, I don't have to buy Overwatch 2 to get that content in the first place. And two, like, there's nothing stopping you from adding that to the game at this moment too.
Do you now that I'm thinking, do you think they knew Jeff was leaving for a long time and kind of put Overwatch on hold up until this point? I mean, it's a possibility, and kind of just went.
It could be. It's hard to imagine, just because there's so many people on that team at this point.
Yeah,
they got everyone from so many different. They've taken people from Diablo.
It's not just Jeff.
From WoW. Yeah, they've taken so many people. I'm not really sure. I don't think they would.
Well, and that's the other crazy thing, is like, they're saying they're mid-cycle on Overwatch 2, which, okay.
Another worrying thing.
Another worrying thing. I mean, that kind of fits into when we watched BlizzCon. I really didn't see anything that I hadn't really seen before. Like, it looked like just an expanded trailer that I'd already seen before. There wasn't a whole lot new to latch onto. I mean, literally, I was waiting for them to say released sometime when. They didn't even give a year. They were just like, it's coming, and now they're saying mid-cycle. And with the game market the way it is, it's so saturated. I mean, we're finding new games constantly streaming that it's hard to keep up. And to just have this hold. Yeah, there's so much out there that it seems like a bad misstep to just let it sit in this not just stagnant period, but purposefully stagnant period. Like,
yeah,
it's a little weird. I can't imagine. I mean, maybe I'm obviously, we're speculating and we're kind of going off topic, but maybe they are diverting everything to Overwatch 2 and just saying that Overwatch is going to stay the way it is, and we're working on this PvE, which could be a good thing, because if you compare, if you're telling me you're going to make a game based solely off the PvP of the PvE, of Overwatch, I'm not buying that. The PvE situation in Overwatch is disgusting. I would rather play Destiny.
It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not very engaging and it's kind of boring. And it's definitely not something you want to do over and over and over again, like they are suggesting that Overwatch 2 is going to be designed around.
So to me that's bad.
Yeah. Like you can play it once or twice and have some good fun. After that,
it's a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. It's just a target range. It means nothing. There's no, the PvE so far of Overwatch has been, there's no thinking, there's no nothing. You just try not to get shot and shoot the guys who are just standing still shooting back at you. There's nothing there compared to what's out there. There's nothing there. So
it'd
to
be
me,
very hard for them to make that into something remarkable enough to bring in.
And that's what drove me insane about this event is you're telling me, hey, Overwatch 2, get hype. It's going to be PvE. Here's our PvE we've previously done. And it's absolute hot trash.
Yeah, like stack that against Outriders.
Yeah.
Like it's no competition. Outriders would absolutely just... The only problem with Outriders right now is its technical abilities are just not there. Like it's just a buggy mess. But in 2 years, which they're suggesting Overwatch 2 is going to be done, I can guarantee they're going to have that resolved. And Overwatch 2's PvE is not going to stand a chance against Outriders 2 years from now.
And what's weird is a lot of that is based on how much people love the characters of Overwatch 2, which was always a huge strong point, which is very strange to me considering there's next to no story you can find within the game itself. It's very go online and look at this and read this comic and here's some weird little thing. And you know, personally, I'm not really interested in that. If it's not in the game, I'm not going to go looking for it. But I mean, people are attached to these characters and I can see people going, well, it's Destiny, but with characters you actually care about.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even think that's like a personal. I think if you actually go out to go and watch like the cinematics and everything, you're more invested than the average player. And the
cinematics are good. They're really well done. They're just, there is no like linear story to Overwatch. It is very, it's very slices of this and that. And, I mean, what's kind of cool about that is, you can throw that into Overwatch 2 and actually put those pieces together and make a real story, which I can see getting invested into. But the state it is now, when people tell me Overwatch has a good story,
I can just imagine you're trying to play the PvE for Overwatch. You're watching the cutscene, and all you get is your teammates pinging you to skip the cutscene because they've already seen it.
Skip. I need healing. Skip.
Because I remember playing, what was it, Final Fantasy 14. Is every time I try to watch the cutscenes for the MMO. For all the boss fights, I would just see everyone waiting for me as I'm trying to watch the cutscenes. Like, maybe I should just skip this.
You could go the opposite way with Monster Hunter, where everybody's seen the cutscenes because you're not allowed to skip them. And you're the one guy sitting there having to watch 15 minutes of garbage. 45 minutes the end of that game was, and I couldn't have given less of a fuck. It was all this. The story, the writing is so lame. Anyway, that's a totally different game.
But the next question just comes down to, do you expect there to be a change in ethos when it comes to design, development, and deployment? Because this is a really good question too, because one of the problems that not just Overwatch, honestly, but Blizzard just in general has is they take a long time to do things. So one of the problems that Overwatch is having right now is, one, there's no content. And two, even if Overwatch 2 does come out, like it becomes a question on whether they're going to be able to keep up any type of pace with their current strategy of, in their words, commit to quality, where they just take so long to put something out that people just kind of get sick of it. And that's further compounded by the fact that a lot of the content that we've gotten before this drought happened wasn't really the best. I mean, you have like Havana, the newest map for the main game mode that we had. No one really likes Havana.
I'll take Havana over some of the other stuff, but yeah, I'm never like, yay, Havana. Like that's never happened.
And
Um,
it's not just the maps, it's the heroes. Like you have Echo, Sigma, Baptiste, Ash, like all these new heroes too. They're fun heroes, but they're heroes when introduced to the game cause problems. Like just throughout the meta, throughout the player base. Like people don't like fighting against Echo because she does a lot of damage. She flies around, is very annoying, and her ultimate is very strong. And we're seeing as more heroes come out, they're becoming more complex and they're becoming inherently stronger.
I mean,
Um,
that's just the power creep of any game that's been out long enough,
yeah.
though.
But, well, what I'm saying is that's happening. So we're taking a long time to introduce heroes that come out as problems, and they take a long time for balance changes to come out to attempt to fix those heroes. And all this is, as you said, power creep's just inherent in all these kinds of games. That's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse as the game moves on. And I'm honestly scared if they come out with Overwatch 2 and we get like 6 heroes at once, like the game's going to be a fucking mess. Like real talk. It's probably not going to be very fun playing
uh,
PvP with these new heroes
I mean,
after a week.
I would expect something along the lines of we've released this character for Overwatch 2. They're available in PvE, and slowly we're going to integrate them into PvP, uh, rather than just dumping 6 new characters in Overwatch.
And
Uh,
they might,
it,
and we might get a backlash from that, saying, "Why can't I play this in PvP?"
well, and it's tough too
Yeah,
because the big draw to Overwatch is its professional scene. It's got a very strong professional presence. Um, and you can't just change characters on a whim when actual money's on the line for people. There's got to be forethought, and it's got to be methodical. Uh,
yeah,
when if you're just the average player, you'll see some changes and be like, why? What was the point of this? I I don't know. Part of that, the drought you were speaking of, and here the cool thing about having Jeff there, uh, was that even though there was droughts and stuff, you still had a face. There was still content from that side, if that makes sense. Like people were creating content based around Kaplan, and it was enough to keep people interested. The game had personality.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think with Aaron Keller at the head, he's gonna have his work ahead of him. I think personally, but he does have an opportunity to also do that, where he can be either the face of Overwatch, which and hopefully give us something to like someone to talk to and try to stay interested in the game, because yeah, if it remains faceless on top of everything that we haven't been getting, I'm honestly really worried about the game.
I mean, so I agree with you to that. It's a part of that. The other part of that is that a lot of what Overwatch is organic, right? There's all kinds of little things in Overwatch that just came through. Like I said, organically. It wasn't. I would not like Aaron to just force himself to be the new Jeff. That seems like a terrible idea.
Right.
But I do like their openness, and it's just little things, when people were saying GG easy all the time, they swapped it so now if you type that, it's not just a banned word, it's you basically being salty, and they let everybody know with a special little phrase for you. April Fools, everybody got googly eyes. It's just little things that make the game more fun and that feel natural, and I think that's a big strength to the game, is things happening naturally over time.
Yeah. I don't think Overwatch will lose that just because Aaron Keller's not like some new face to it, and he's been working alongside Jeff for, I think he said like over 20 years now.
I think they got started like within months of each other.
Yeah, they started working with each other pretty early on. They've been together ever since. So I don't think Overwatch is going to lose that. Um, Thankfully, my biggest concern is just they're going to. I feel like the issue with creating more content for the game is just going to start rising exponentially as it goes on, especially as soon as Overwatch 2 drops. Because the next question that the interviewer asks is kind of goes more into that. Because yes, the PvE side of it feels like a way to invite people who aren't necessarily built for PvP and might not have the sensibilities that make it work to enjoy the world of Overwatch. But you're also kind of creating the responsibility to also feed them new content for the long term. Is that your plan? Or are you currently built to do that? And that's the point it brings up, is if we're going to a PvE and PvP aspect of Overwatch now,
That's a lot.
and the PvE
That's a lot.
aspect, yeah, is supposed to be this. It's not just campaign. It's something that you're supposed to expect to be playing over and over again and expect more content. Now, not only do we have one side of Overwatch, basically Overwatch 1, we also have a whole different side of the game that also needs stuff being made for it.
It's going to need its own team, you know. They're promising a lot while delivering very little right now. And I mean, I guess you can hope they're ramping up. That's what they're focused on. But they're very quiet about everything when it comes to what they're actually doing.
Yeah, and
it's pretty
that's worrisome. That's part of the reason why I feel like I guess devoid of hope for Overwatch.
And that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, how can you be so quiet about stuff when the pro scene is super active? You know, when there's millions of dollars at stake, for not just Blizzard, but for people who spend their life there on Overwatch, doing Overwatch things, I guess. To just say, hey, we're just going to stagnate for a while. Like, that seems so, it's almost like when they just, it feels along the same vein of cutting off the pro scene for HOTS, where it's like, it could have been fine. And you guys just, I guess, tried something. You went too hard and it didn't work.
Yeah. To be fair, the Overwatch League has been very successful. It's very refined. They've recovered a lot of their issues with COVID and getting it not land-based anymore. It's still a problem. It's actually a pretty heavy problem because you actually have teams, and I know you don't follow the Overwatch League. I know you don't watch it, but you actually have teams that are like doing team comps based off of the ping that they have in game. So like if it's too high, they'll go towards like a rush brawl comp or something, just because it's easier to play with that kind of ping. But luckily, Overwatch League has been pretty successful still. But I have to wonder if that's just because people would prefer to watch the game rather than play it.
It might be. It very well could be. I mean, from somebody who's been playing it for 6 years, there's nothing to do. It's all been. I've seen it all. It's all been done before. And none of the new content is even like, I'm never excited for new maps after, you know, I don't know, I had the same issue with Rocket League, which is like, when you have a game that's supposed to be played professionally, you can't, there's only so many ways you can change it before it becomes unfun, and things like Echo have ruin that. I may be a little vague here, but like in Rocket League, you'd play ranked, right? And there was one map that was different from, there's two maps that one was a little bit bigger than the rest of them, and one had like weird curves and angles to it. And it was like, why would I play chess with different pieces every time? That doesn't make sense. It's not going to work that. Why would you switch the board every time?
Yeah.
And it I don't know.
I can see that. Because you, like, as a player, usually most Overwatch players just have like one or two heroes that they're good at, that they play consistently in their role. So when you have multiple different maps, they don't always support those heroes the best. No. So every now and then when you're playing, you're going to run into a map where your character just sucks. Well, they're not as good as someone else that you don't play. Or some kind of team composition that your team has where your hero's not as good.
I guess what I was kind of thinking along is that, like, you wouldn't even need to change the maps a whole lot to make me interested. Like, I look at it, like I said, as a game like football or chess, where you do the same things over and over again. I really don't know why they haven't followed the structure of some other games and just reskinned maps or reskinned characters and just added all kind of, like, they could go so far with that, and they do a little bit of that, but you know, compared to like Smite, Smite has a new skin every single day. Like,
That's true.
and you know, some of the best skins for Overwatch aren't even in Overwatch. They're
Oh, dude.
they're on HOTS,
HOTS has
which
some
is a dead
great
game.
skins.
It's a like, there's no, you cannot become a professional HOTS player. Like, there's nothing. The decision making behind some of this stuff is very strange. You know, I'm not obviously a business minded person, but some of it seems silly, and this is along those lines of silly, where announcing that you're going to stagnate doesn't bode well for anybody.
I just don't know what they're gonna do. Like, part of me, like, honestly wondered if part of the reason is because they're just is that they just don't know what to do for the business model side of Overwatch, like how to monetize it. Because maybe what they're betting on is just they want to keep Overwatch 1 the same, where you just kind of buy it once and then you're done. So they kind of need like all this content for Overwatch 2 to convince people to buy the game.
And because yeah, I did hear that in a couple places, including this interview, is they might, like I said, they're vague about everything, but you know, turning it into a live service isn't out of the question, you know, which is kind of one of the big draws. The one thing I've always really liked Overwatch for, I said before, is that you just had to buy the game and that was it. You know, everything else you could work for, but
yeah, it's something that's like endearing, but also kind of, I don't want to say silly.
At this point,
surprising.
At this point, yeah, it's a little.
Is it?
I mean, like, with every game, look at Fortnite. There's like, I don't know anything about Fortnite, but I mean, I imagine they have like 5 different battle passes going at once. Like, I don't.
You just have you just have so many games now that just don't care about the people that are playing it, and we'll just throw so much shit in there just to get you to buy it. like Call of Duty is a perfect example. I think was it Black Ops, one of the Black Ops games, when it released, like there was no microtransactions whatsoever. They got tons of people to play it for like the first 3 weeks, and then like that they hit a switch. And all of a sudden, the game was just like all these pay-to-win options. There was tons of stuff to buy with money. It was ridiculous.
I think
and
I remember
no
what you.
cared.
Yeah, I think what you were talking. Yeah. There was a big thing going on with the loot box. I think people were being sued for loot boxes, calling it in-game gambling and all this stuff. And so they did a bunch of vague. They're not loot boxes. They're surprise gifts or some shit like that. Some stupid. They're not legally loot boxes.
And I just can't believe that Overwatch is so like scared to do. Like, honestly, I would pay money just to have some more content. Like, I would do a subscription model if that would help. Because I'd be mad. I'd be mad if Overwatch went. I'd never touch it again. You paid a subscription for WoW,
and I'm mad about that.
But like real talk, I've paid $20 for Overwatch, and I've gotten over 1,000 hours of gameplay of that game. It is by far the most efficient game I've ever bought, bar none.
It is, and I agree with you completely there. A battle pass, I could be cool with. You know, I could actually, you know, the choice to. I don't like the subscription service. You have to pay to play, because I'm already paying for, you know, internet. I'm paying for the game. I'm paying for in-game items. I'm paying with my time. I'm paying for gold if I don't have the time to pay for things. You know, it's like, if you do that to Overwatch, I will go find something else. I like, but a battle pass I can get behind. The ability to pay more for more content, I can understand that. I'm not a huge fan.
I'm just surprised that they haven't like tried anything though. Like there's been no word on any other kind of model that they've been doing. It's maybe a battle pass, but when you have all these other games that are just doing this crazy shit, that are making tons of money. Like FIFA is another example where you have people paying thousands of dollars just to get a card. It's kind of crazy that Overwatch isn't trying anything else.
I don't know if they have to. I mean, honestly, here's something else I was thinking about when it came to like Jeff being super involved in Overwatch. Is I wonder how much of that might have been him not wanting Overwatch to be like that, because you already have all the other Blizzard games. I mean, Blizzard is not missing any money. Let's be real. Like they
Yeah.
own Activision now. That's enough. Or they merged. I don't know. Or does Activ no. Who owns who? Blizzard owns
They're
Activision.
merged.
They're
No,
merged.
Activision, I believe, owned Blizzard, and I think they changed their name to Activision Blizzard. Kind of keep
Either
the
way,
identity of it.
either way, that is a fucking monopoly right there. Like you got all the Call of Duties, you got WoW, you got like the biggest name games all in one spot. And Steam has what,
Yeah, I
indie
mean,
games now? Like that's your two choices. Indie games or Blizzard. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is the video game industry in general has been on the up and up for years. They've
Mhm.
always just made more money every year. Every year is like record breaking for them, and then they just fired 300 people every year. So it's not that they're out of money, but I think it's like they don't see the opportunity to make more, and they feel that in order to make money, they need to do something drastic like this. Because from the way it's sounding, if Overwatch 2 is really in mid-cycle, 2 years after it's been announced, so it's probably gonna be another two to 2.5 years before it's done. They've already confirmed like we're not getting anything else really. Like maybe we'll get
I
some.
still don't understand that. Why would you say that? I
Yeah,
mean, I guess it's to shut people up who are constantly asking, but like, really, you're just gonna say that's what makes me believe they're diverting resources to Overwatch 2, like entirely. Like if they're just going, well, we'll do like balance changes, but that's it. So then
yeah,
what is
and
everybody
then
doing in the Overwatch team all day? You know, like obviously they're gonna be doing something else.
it's crazy. Like I don't understand it. I don't know what the future for this game is or for Overwatch 2.
When did they start developing Overwatch 2? I don't. We started hearing about it like 2 years ago, maybe.
They announced it 2 years ago, November 2019.
Because I mean, there are
Or
things to consider. You know, the state of Overwatch itself, the pro team. You know, actually making the game work for PS5 and Xbox, whatever, and PC. Oh, you know, what if they did crossplay? Ooh, ooh. That might get me on board.
maybe I don't know. Competitive crossplay might be a little iffy.
You could opt in or out. That should be how that works.
Yeah, you could, but I don't know. Like, there's just so many potential problems with what's going to happen with Overwatch 2. It makes it very, very worrisome. I think the things I'm mostly worried about is their philosophy with heroes now, because we already have so many problem heroes in the game. It's just so many heroes that are just a mess that need reworks, and to add more to that roster, it does not sound like fun.
It doesn't, especially when their idea so far has been to just give up on those characters. You know,
Yeah.
classic Brigitte, broken since day one and has never been like
In an okay spot.
never. She's either been way too good or absolute trash. And then,
Yeah.
you know, I guess
And
same.
right now, her current state is like she's just really hard to play. She's good, but she's just super difficult, and it's hard for anyone to play her.
It really is.
Outside of like high diamond or higher. But you also have other problems like Bastion. Bastion's a huge issue with the game. Doomfist, they need to do something about Doomfist. He is such a problem.
I mean,
with the game.
everybody has problems with all kind. You know, I'll rail against Hog all day and night, but you know, it's I don't know how much of this is just like personal conjecture and how much is actually how the public feels. Because, you know, I think Hog is a broken ass character. You put him against any tank of the same level, and Hog's going to win every time. But, you know, according to the balance changes that just came out, he needs a buff. I've never in my life thought they needed a buff Hog. Like,
Yeah.
that is, it's. This is where I say this is all subjective, because I can't say I know how everything works.
I think most of that is just because of rank disparity. Because some of the heroes just operate like at a different efficiency at different ranks.
Oh yeah,
Like
you take
some-
Reaper and you throw him into any gold or below game, he's going to dominate. But you start going
Yeah.
up the ladder, he's going to be garbage.
Yeah, that's Doomfist's problem. That's my problem with Doomfist. Because his entire kit like relies on basically you being completely clueless and just walking around.
I think
Because
that's half the characters. You know, you got Echo, Doomfist, Bastion. They all rely on you on the team not focusing on them, and
well,
just
even Echo and like let's well if we're saying Doomfist, like he's kind of a dive hero, right? Similar to Genji or like a Tracer. Even Genji and Tracers have different options when it comes to their playstyles. Right, there's something else they can do. They could poke from behind their shield. They can distract the backline, just kind of play really defensively. Doomfist only has one option, and that's like he has to go in at some point to do anything, right? He needs to use his abilities to get into the team. As soon as you press one of those buttons to get in there, you're completely reliant on the enemy team having no idea you're coming. That's very easy in low ranks. That's very hard in high ranks. If you ever watch a high rank Doomfist, the things that they have to do to make sure that happens is ridiculous. Like they have to alt to the top of the map and press E so no one hears them all the way down onto the map for like 5 seconds. It's crazy. And it's just an inherent problem with how he's designed, because it ends up being he's really strong at low ranks because he just dominates people. And he sucks at high ranks because people just hear him and they shoot him in the face because their aim is that good. And you know, there's no fix for that. Like that's just how he operates.
Would you think that there would be some system of characters being buffed and nerfed or treated differently based on what rank they're being played in? Like let's say some buffs and nerfs only go through for, you know, master or hires red games in ranked versus
that would be crazy.
It would be hard to do, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Like, I don't see any other fix for it. Like, Sombra's the same way, too, where Sombra's just a hard hero to use almost outside of any pro play. She's just hard. Like, the only thing you can do in ladder as Sombra is just build EMP and say in chat, I'm gonna EMP.
Yep.
That's about it.
And this is where that pro thing, you know, it's like Hog. He's really strong in all the lower ranks because your Anna's not paying attention to him. And as a tank, you're going up against somebody who can 2-3 shot you, pull you out of the battle. This is me just venting as a Rein me, but like when there's another character that I can solo ult, use every ability on, attack for like 30 straight seconds and still lose to, it's problematic. And
because a flanking Hog's counter is communication. Like you just get 2 people over there and they will kill him because
or another Hog, I guess. I don't.
Or just have him fight another Hog. Yeah. But that kind of communication, basically any communication at all, doesn't exist really below, I'd say, Diamond.
Yeah.
And even Diamond, it's rare.
Yeah. You're more likely to have somebody yelling at you than actually helping.
Yeah, pretty much.
I want Overwatch to just, like, if I could stream that game every day and play it and enjoy it and have things to work towards, I'd really be about it. But it hasn't been that way for a long time, you know, and maybe if you're just getting into the game, you know, I've seen a couple different streamers I'm around just get into it and they're really all about, I mean, it's a great, like I said, it plays really well. It's fun. There's always something different to be trying out or doing if you're newer, but for people who've been around for a long time, there's nothing. And they told you there's not going to be anything.
Yeah. I think what I want for Overwatch 2, like what I want next is, I guess I just want more. I think the funnest Overwatch is once like that big update happens, either when they add a new hero or they make all these crazy changes and no one knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I want more of. Like, I don't want like these small tweaks and updates. If they're going to change something, I want them to like just go fucking ballistic and just actually make it a different game if they need to. Because at this point, like I'm just playing the same thing I've been playing for the last 2 years. Like nothing for Overwatch has changed since really Echoes came out anyway.
No.
I want them to just make large changes again to make that feeling a bit more consistent, because I think that's when Overwatch is at its funnest, is when people don't really have a full idea of what's going to happen. Everyone's just trying their own favorite thing. No one knows what the right decision really is. um, I think that's when Overwatch is at its greatest, because it kind of just lets you play the game and not really focus on, oh, what's the meta, we're not playing the most efficiently, because right now that's what it is. Everyone knows the game
It's
so well because it's so old.
it's the same problem like when Symmetra and May and those characters were necessary picks, where I don't want to, on an incredibly diverse roster, I don't want to see the same five characters over and over again. And they keep falling into that trap with goats, with Sigma a little while ago, double shield comps, pirate ship a long time ago. Like, it was just the same. They have done, honestly, a good job of pulling themselves out of these ruts. Every time the pro players discover a meta that just dominates everything else, they go, okay, we got to change. That might be a big catalyst for why the changes happened that made the game interesting again. But
Yeah,
as long as there's such a huge pro scene, there's always going to be people finding these things that always work. And that's true for any game. It's why I never got into StarCraft,
God, StarCraft. Yeah, metagaming's become the new norm. And I think honestly, it's made games less fun.
Mhm.
But I think the way to avoid that's just to
I don't think there is a way to avoid it. I don't think there really is.
just go crazy and just start making some crazy changes. I remember the April Fool's update that they did. That was a lot of fun. Like, honestly, I'd bring that into comp. That was crazy. And honestly, with where we're at right now, if there's no content for the next 2 years, why wouldn't you? Who cares at this point?
I mean, it's a lot of it is the pro scene. I'm a broken record about it, but there's money on the line there. And if I think the pro scene is what, like you said, people want to watch. I think that's what keeps the game alive compared to people actually playing it, at this point.
I wonder if people would find it just as interesting to watch. You got these crazy updates, and you try to watch the pros go through this and see what they can come up with. I think that's just as interesting, because I remember when they started doing hero pools for Overwatch League. They stopped it now, but
Yeah, they stopped it.
Yeah, there would be bans for heroes that were meta at that time. And even casters, they had no idea what to even expect from the pros. They had no clue what was going to be played, and you did see different comps, different things that teams were trying, because they just didn't know what was best.
But a big problem with that is I remember that a lot of pro players were they all went in overtime. They were burning out trying to figure shit out for this and that comp. And I mean, I can see maybe special events where this happens, or in ranked play this is how it's going to be. But if somebody has been watching football all their life, and then one day they go, you know what, we're going to make the ball square now, good luck everybody. I don't think that's going to turn out too well.
I don't know. I'd kind of pay to see that. That'd be hilarious.
You would, but the people who have invested their entire lives and all this shit into it, who really cheer for these teams and buy the merch and do all these things, they're gonna be pissed. It might be fun for exhibition situations, but you can't really do that stuff when real money's on the line.
That's true. I could see that. I don't know.
I've always been a proponent that they should have a pick and ban system.
I don't understand why they don't. They've tried literally everything except that.
Right?
At this point, they've tried everything but that.
It's very strange.
Actually, I forgot. They actually did try that with Overwatch Contenders. They did do a pick and ban system, and from what I heard, people actually really liked it. Because basically it worked as you got to pick initial bans, and then after every round you got to either keep something banned from one side or unban something from yours.
I can see that it almost exacerbates a problem that Overwatch has, or it doesn't have it so much right now, but Overwatch has always seemed to have a problem where there'll be one character that requires a specific other character to really counter. And I know that's like the point of the game. From the start, the game has always been, here's this game, you can pick all these different characters, and each character has kind of a counter that maybe not be specific, but will help against this problem. You got a Bastion in the background, here's a sniper to help you take care of it. And then there became issues where you absolutely need to use a certain character to counter a different one, and if that character would be banned, you're kind of screwed. Like there's nothing you can totally do.
Yeah, it like transitioned from a soft counters to hard counters to a literal rock paper scissors system.
Yep.
Like you need this to beat this, or this is going to beat this. It's kind of crazy. And a big issue with that too is some of the heroes are only countered by that same hero.
Yep. Hog, like Widow.
Hog, Widow.
Well, I mean, there are counters, but here's the thing though: the counters that worked when anybody could switch to any character in Overwatch. Mm-hmm. In a perfect world, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, it led to just 5 DPS throwing racial slurs at each other for 20 minutes.
As the Ana trying to keep everyone alive.
In a perfect world, it would be like, all right, they have a Widow. Okay, I'm a DPS, but that Widow's better than me. I'm going to swap to Winston, and we're going to make it work. Like that was the original idea. That was fantastic when people weren't so hard into the metagaming, but now that they've taken away, and now there's role queue, and it fixed a lot of problems that they were having with people just, fuck you, I'm going to be DPS too. They fixed that problem. I don't know how many games I lost due to people just, I can't win. I'm giving up. Yeah. And giving up. And you know what? To the Overwatch team's credit, Role Queue did fix a lot of. I don't have a lot of people just giving up anymore. Nobody just sits in spawn and gives up anymore. That never happens. They made DC, but
it made the game more structured and just made it more consistent with how enjoyable the game was.
It definitely did. If you want to play a ranked game, people in ranked are gonna try their best for the most part, until you start giving them issues, giving them flack for trying their best, and everything falls apart. But that's neither here nor there.
There was one other thing I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah.
In BlizzCon, there was actually a theory, just based off of like the gameplay that we saw, that Overwatch 2 might feature just a singular tank, but just stronger than the version that they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're a tank player, and specifically you're a Reinhardt player, would that be something you'd be interested in?
For PvE or over like PvP?
PvP. This looked like it was for the PvP gameplay.
Now, I did not play because they had a mode a little while ago that was the tanks. There was only 5 characters on a team and 1 tank who was beefed up. Yep. I actually didn't get a chance to really play around with that, so I don't know how that feels. But
it's very unbalanced. I remember that.
I think I remember hearing that. It's tough because a lot of my Overwatch experience has been with randoms or with 1 or 2 other people who I trust playing with on a team. I've never really played a full 6 stack of people I trust, like a full team game of Overwatch, if that makes sense. Yeah. I've never played on a rank. I've never tried in a ranked game with people that I all know how they play. That's a lot to get to. But yeah, in the 6 years, so I don't know how that would feel, because playing a tank, you are relying a lot on your team. It's not like DPS where you're just trying to do your best and get in the picks. It's if I do this, I have to trust that my teammate will be here doing this.
Well, here's the thing with that too, is you play Reinhardt a lot,
mm-hmm.
and like the tanks I play when I play a lot of like Wrecking Ball,
Off
Roadhog.
tanks.
Yeah, I play a lot of off tanks. And the reason I usually play off tanks is because I can just kind of do my own thing.
I
Like
know.
I don't really, yeah, I can just like, I'm not really that concerned with what other people are doing as much. I obviously still try to help, but you know, if I'm Roadhog, I can just go flank and just go murder someone real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Reinhardt, at
You
least
need
what
a
it feels
team.
like right now, it's not just he needs a team. It's like he needs his other tank.
Oh yeah,
He needs them because if he doesn't have his other tank helping him, playing Rein is awful.
it is. And then, it falls into the traps of, well, you're not holding your shield up, you're not doing it. It's like, unless you play right, you don't understand. You really
Yeah.
don't understand what it's like to be, where's my fucking Zarya? And you see her way off in the distance, and the other team's got a Rein Zarya that are sticking together, and you're like, this is why we're losing. You have two
Yeah.
characters on the map who can dominate the whole thing, and we have that same combo, but we're not working together, and it's ugly.
And yeah, that's the worst thing with Rein too, is he's really only that compatible with a select few of the other tanks. Like you can basically slap any of the other tanks together into a team, and you do okay. Even Wrecking Ball Roadhog, as like gross as it sounds, it works because it's just it gets a lot of kills, it
It's
gets a lot of space.
HP on the field and a lot of damage.
Yeah, like it
It's
does a
of
lot.
threat.
But you're gonna throw a Wrecking Ball and a Reinhardt together. Like a lot of the times, you just pick a direction. You either go for the Rein or you single out the Wrecking Ball, and that's one tank down, pretty much guaranteed.
And yeah, and as you know, those are both my main characters, and I know how it is on both sides. I know what it's like to be the Rein, who's like, all I can do is sit here on point and hold my shield, and hopefully nothing bad happens. I see that ball rolling around, and sometimes it's great. Sometimes the ball is causing all kinds of problems, and you can just come in and get a nice shatter off that, or pick off the weaker characters who get through, the faster squishies, because Wrecking Ball's in their backline doing stuff. But other times, Wrecking Ball's fucking around hanging off an edge. And you're like, all right, this is cool. I got this Sigma and other Rein coming at me, and I got no chance.
Yeah, I wonder if it would just make it better if you just had one really strong tank, just to kind of make them less reliant on their their other half, the other tank.
So then
it
what
also
happens to the other tanks? Like, let's say, what happens to Wrecking Ball if he's main tank?
Honestly, Wrecking Ball's kind of a main tank already.
He's
He's not a shield tank, but if you play him right, he can kind of do the same things. Obviously, you need to tweak all these guys.
Yeah.
As they are now, they wouldn't perform as just a solo tank.
No.
They just can't. But I think it might help a lot just with that aspect, and also it would help if you're keeping the same like amount of players. Like now you have 3 DPS 2 healers. A lot of low rank support players only heal tanks. It's a lot. You'll see it a lot.
I do that.
Like an Ana.
I will stick
Yeah.
I will be up my Rein's butt the whole time.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. A lot of really low rank support players will do that. And I wonder if you just have the one tank, if it'll help some support players just kind of start healing the rest of the team a bit more too.
I mean, I would try. Why would I not try? I am at this point, I'm down for any kind of change. I even like, it's so silly that because literally, I think all you'd have to do to keep Overwatch going is just follow the same steps as a lot of other games. Nobody plays Smite who's been playing it a long time because there's new stuff happening in Smite. Sure, there's a new god, but it's because there's a new skin to unlock. There's a new battle pass. There's a new, if Overwatch just went ahead and was like, you play this many games, you get this skin. You do, like, if they just, even if they were crappy recolors or something, the fact that I have nothing to work towards is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. They've been kind of releasing some more, but it's so sparse that it doesn't really mean anything. And some of the things, like the recent event with archives, actually, I think it's still going on now. It's awful. Like, I'm
really
just gonna
is.
say it's bad.
It made me mad. It actively made me mad. I don't even want, I mean, I I tried so hard to even go for a second skin, and I was like, I can't. This is killing me. This is making me hate the game more.
If you don't know what we're talking about, previously, one of the Battle Pass-esque things you could do is there would be a skin that you could unlock over the week by winning 9 games. Not in a row or anything, just 9 games over the week, and you get this new skin.
9 games of any type didn't have to be ranked. You just play the game. Basically, you just play the game, and you play it long enough, and guess what? You get a skin.
They changed that with the Archives event, because with the Archives event, they have these PvE missions. The only PvE content really in Overwatch, besides I think Wolfenstein, but that's about it.
Wolfenstein, what's that?
Or not Wolf.
Junkenstein? I mean, I thought that was
Junkenstein's
part of it. It's all just shitty PvE.
Yeah. The problem is, like, these missions we have had for many years. Like,
No.
I think it's been going on more than 3 years. I think the youngest one's like 3 years old. And they changed the requirement from 9 wins in any game mode to you have to unlock these many stars in the archive missions. And
They're so boring.
I
They are
have played
so
these
boring.
missions so many times. I do not want to play them more.
I didn't want
I
to
did
play them
not
when they
find them.
came out. The PvE is so lacking. There's no AI. The enemies will spawn in one spot and walk to the same spot every single time. And the only difficult thing is just trying not to get shot. Like, that's really the only. There's no timers really. There's no. I mean, there kind of is like this little protect this or that or stand here for this long, but it's all just waiting, and it is so unengaging. Like you said, it is disgusting.
If you do enjoy it, you're not going to enjoy it for very long, especially when you've been doing these missions for years now. Like, it's not fun. Like, it's just not. And the fact that is your only option to unlock these exclusive skins, because these ones you can't get them again. Like, they're gone once they're gone. And I remember someone in the forums actually brought up like I don't want to play these missions. Why do I have to do this? And one of the mods for the forum said, well, if you're having any doubts, just remember, once you lose the skin, it's gone forever. I was like, well, thanks. Appreciate that.
It's disgusting manipulation. It's it's so lame. I can't believe that this is. I don't understand the mindset behind this. Because it's not like we want players to play the PvE so we can work on these missions for later. They haven't worked on them in years, and they're not going to. There's nothing there. It is a target range, and not even a fun one.
The most recent update they've done to it is they made little challenges. So, like, oh, you only start healing after you melee people, kind of like the skulls in Halo. If you've ever played any of the Halo games, it's literally just kind of a copy of that pasted onto these missions. It's not exactly something that you want to do over and over again.
Especially considering that they released a creative mode for Overwatch, which is something they've done that's been pretty cool. Where people can basically build their own little mini games inside Overwatch. I don't know why they didn't just take one of those and say, hey, play some of these and win a skin. Like, just try something else. Instead, they went back to like play the most boring, awful thing in the game yet.
Yeah, they could, because even legally, like, they actually own all the creations in the workshop. They don't want another Dota.
No. Yeah, no.
But yeah, they own all that, so they totally could have. And honestly, a lot of the workshop games are way more fun. Like, way more fun.
Oh, yeah.
Than pretty much anything they've come up with, to be honest.
I've never played a workshop game that I hated more than the PvE. The PvE is a fucking... I can't... I still just can't get over that. Like, Overwatch 2 PvE, let's go. Here's our previous PvE. It's like...
the grudge you have is amazing.
I can't... It's insane to me that you would advertise your new hotness with old shit. Like, I don't get it.
Here's what you got to look forward to. Have fun.
You know how you weren't having fun before? Well, get ready. You're about to have even less fun because now you have to do it. It's gross.
You know, and to be fair, Overwatch 2's PvE may be, it might be fantastic, But the other thing you have to wonder is, was all this really worth it for the PvE side of the game? I don't imagine it's going to, because when you think about it, PvE games right now aren't, they aren't the hotness.
No,
Like
I think
a lot of
everybody's
the,
sick of looter shooters, and I saw Outriders
yeah,
come and go in a day. Like, I mean, sure, people are still playing, and everybody was really happy with it, but I don't see any of them streaming it anymore. Um,
no. Honestly, like PvP games, like your Apex Legends, even Titanfall's huge right now because of Apex, sure, but even is a pretty popular game at the moment. Um, that you almost have to wonder, has this all really been worth it to add PvE to the game? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
I, I mean, you're never gonna make AI that stacks up against playing against another person. The AI is never gonna send you a hateful letter through your email because you dumpstered them in a game.
That'd be a nice feature, though. If anyone's listening,
Oh yeah,
someone message Jeff. Oh wait, no, don't do that.
message Darren. Say if you beat up the robots bad enough, they tweet at you and call you names.
That'd be great.
I mean, I really want the best for Overwatch because, like you were saying, this is the game I've spent, 5 or 6 years just I always come back to it, no matter how much I hate it at a certain point. I've never quit because
I played it today. Like before this,
I was ready to play a few games before just to kind of get in the mood, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll just end up ranting about stuff if that happens.
Hey, look what happened.
I genuinely do love Overwatch. I would stream it more if it wasn't so saturated, which it might not be as saturated anymore, honestly. But it's a game that I would play every day if I could. And they actively have made it so. I mean, like I can go in and I can still play, but when it says here, there's this exclusive thing you can get, but you have to do this to play. I'm offended. I am offended that this is what you want me to do. Otherwise, you're out of luck. You can't have it.
I think that's my biggest problem too. Is like I think about Overwatch and I'm just thinking of all the stuff that they're making me wait for almost no reason. Like, and it just makes me angry and it just makes me sad. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go play Enlisted.
I'm gonna go play this trash. No, it's not trash, but it's fun.
It's
but
honestly really, it's a fun free to play game.
Yeah, let's just advertise Enlisted. Hey, you guys should go play Enlisted.
Don't play Overwatch. Link in the description. I promise. We won't forget.
Yeah, I mean, I want the best, and I think that from what I've heard of Aaron say, it seems like he's on the right track. Like I said, when I saw him at BlizzCon, he was immediately the first person that wasn't Jeff that I got some like personality from.
Yeah.
He seems like he can handle it. It just doesn't match with what their words aren't matching their actions right now.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're saying like hopes and dreams for Overwatch that don't seem feasible from what we've seen. So that's my feel.
I mean, who knows, really? It could, Overwatch 2 could come out and be the greatest thing since, electric cars. I don't know. I was going to say sliced bread, but I don't even eat bread. So.
The worst thing is, like, no matter how it turns out, I'm probably going to buy Overwatch 2.
Yeah, just due to like loyalty, I guess, which I hate that word. Loyalty is a disgusting word, but like due to what Overwatch has already given me, it's a hard ask to just say
screw you.
Yeah, and I'm not the kind of person who's gonna hate. Every game a company comes out with could be different, aside from Call of Duty. But like, I see the trends, especially with absorbing or merging with Activision, and Activision is notorious for releasing the same trash over and over every year. You might as well call it Call of Duty 2021, 22, 23. Like, it's the same fucking game. I hope with how original and maybe not even original, but how unique Overwatch is as it stands right now. I hope 2 will be unique amongst other PvE games as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'd have to do to make that happen because, like I said, PvE never stacks up to PvP. Unless the story's great, but if it's a looter, the story's never good. If it's grindy, the story's always, how good can it be if there's no end?
I think there's too many characters anyway to really make a good story out of it.
I think you're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's just way too much. There's too much. There's too much to cover. I don't think you'd have, I feel like you'd get like some linear story that doesn't really go too in depth. That's what it feels like we're gonna get. Nothing like grand as God of War that goes super.
No, it's gonna be like
characters.
Monster Hunter, where it's just kind of there, and the cutscenes are kind of neat, but other than that, there's not a lot to latch on to.
Yeah, well, this game's fun.
Yeah, I'll skip all the cutscenes on any game. I don't care. I just want to play the game.
So let me shoot things.
Let me do the stuff. I didn't say I want to watch a movie. I said I want to play a game. Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I guess like to close out, for me, I just hope once Overwatch 2 comes out, whenever it does, that they're able at that point to release things at an actual stable rate. And I pray to God they don't just decide a year later to work on Overwatch 3. Because that I think I'm done. After that, I think that's it for me.
We should just go outside, maybe take a walk in the park. Give up on video
I got a park
games.
like right next to me, actually. I could go do that right now.
I do too, and I've been up it like once.
Yeah, I've never even been there, and I've lived here for like 4 years.
So yeah, like you said, in closing, like I hope for the best. I'm prepared for the worst.
I get a feeling that's gonna happen, but here's hoping.
I hope it just maybe maybe all we can hope for with like the way things have been lately is that it just works when it comes out, like
honestly, it's almost like how much worse can it get? Like we just don't have anything at this point.
There really isn't, I mean, there's the controversies are all that's really big in video games right now. There's like no game that everybody's playing, and there's always some new, this is the Destiny killer, this is the Call of Duty killer, this is the Fortnite killer, and they come and go.
I've seen
like it's
WoW
nothing
all the time. Every MMO that comes out, the WoW killer never happens.
No, because WoW is the formula. That Skinner box gameplay is real big in that market. Yeah. I hope it's all good. I hope it works out.
Anything else to touch on? I think that's just about it for me, at least. I think
there's
done
not.
ranting.
There's just not a whole like I said, they're not saying anything. There's not a whole lot of to really.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about.
No, it just felt like a good idea to talk about these recent developments, considering we do play the game very regularly.
I talk about how much I hate Widowmaker. Do you want to do that?
Oh yeah, fuck Widowmaker. I think her skin is too purple.
Widowmaker, oh my gosh, I fucking hate her. Like she's the one character in the game that like your only real hope if the Widowmaker is too good is to have another Widowmaker that's better. If not, you're screwed. Like anytime you kill a Widowmaker, not as Widowmaker, you got lucky because they missed. That was the only thing. That's the only difference. They missed.
I slightly disagree with you. I know you don't seem to think it, but Winston is a good choice. The problem is that you leave your whole team behind as a tank, and usually the main tank, because my off tanks never switch to Winston. It's always me as Reinhardt who has to swap, and then she gets a fucking mercy pocket, and she just leaves.
You know what happens when you dive a Widowmaker as Winston? You either have to do 180 to avoid the headshot that she's going to hit you with, and if you manage to do that and you actually get on her, she just drops off high ground, getting away from you. If you jump down towards her, she just grapples back up there and you don't have your jump. And now you're on the low ground with her team and they murder you.
I've already used my shield when I jumped it the first time, so I'm dead in the water.
That's how it goes.
I mean, you can go after his ball. Ball kind of But the main thing is that you cannot counter her with another DPS, which is kind of the job of the DPS, you know. At least from
Lucio can try to fight her. Like
I really when your options are like, well, how do we counter Widow? Well, we need a Winston or a Lucio, and it's like, well, that's not how that should work. That's gross.
Like Ana can't do shit. None of the healers can do anything. Trust me, I've tried. Like your only DPS option is another Widowmaker, and maybe if one of your tanks is willing to swap to Ball or Winston, then maybe, which is a lot just for one person. And if they have a Mercy Pocket, there's no chance. You need a Widow, or a Hanzo, but that you might as well have a Widow at that point.
A lot of times, if I have a Widow battle going on, I'll swap to Winston just so I can get up to my Widow and shield her for a second. Like, that is all I can do.
Give her the advantage.
And sometimes it works, but man, it shouldn't have to be like that. I think I don't think Overwatch should have characters that can one-shot each other. I don't think that's
nuts.
It's stupid. It really is. It's not. We're not playing Call of Duty. You know, put that shit there. I don't need that. I don't need a Doomfist. I don't need a Widowmaker. These sometimes silly characters.
I give her immortality field and I give her the damage amp so she could do all the damage.
Wow, that's gross.
I hate her so much. Like just do something about her. It's just awful.
I think
she's such a problem. I think the main issue is I play like a lot of quick play, and I don't know what it is about my quick play MMR, but I get paired with so many top 500 players. Like I'm not that good. That's not me trying to like flex or anything. Like these people destroy me. I do not have fun doing this. And I remember one game I got into a game with a duo of J3 and Samito, my first game of the day, and I like. Why? I'm low diamond as an Ana. This is not fun.
That's flexing rights. That's flexing rights, son. I don't know. Like, it's weird because Overwatch, the main draw of it, or not the main draw, but one of the main draws is that you don't have to be, you know, top FPS guy in the world to play this FPS game. You know, there's characters that you don't require aim to play. If I play Winston or Reinhardt, that's not my focus. But the fact that it's still dominated by one character who does require aim is gross. You know?
Yeah. Like everything changes when they have a good Widow. Like everyone needs to watch where they're moving. They have to follow the shield tank. They have to call out positions for like it's just a whole different game as soon as they have a Widowmaker. It's crazy. And maybe that's just our rank talking. Like maybe it's not that bad at like higher, lower ranks, but like in my experience, that's just what it's been.
I don't know what. There's been so many times I tune into like a pro Overwatch game and they just watch what the Widow's doing. Like it's always on the camera just keeps going back to the Widow, and it's like
she will just dominate.
She will.
Like your only hope is that they miss. Like that's it. That's all you can do. I hope they miss.
I hope they miss.
I'll spin in circles.
And you know, it's not just that she can dominate. It's the fact that now that my team is focused on her, everybody else on their team gets to just do whatever they want, and I just got to hold up my shield.
Reinhardt. Ooh.
People wonder why is Reinhardt going high ground. What do you mean? There's nothing else to do. I'm actually gonna pin this Widow. There's nothing else I can do.
Don't worry, friends. I'll get the Widow.
And it works sometimes. I mean, it works better than me just sitting on cart watching my teammates drop like flies.
I guess not many Widowmakers expect the Reinhardt flank on them.
You know, you got to get creative with it, and with the Reinhardt changes, they made that they just took that away. But you know, for a while there, you could play a Reinhardt a lot different. Like that one video we were watching a video of one of the top Reinhardt players saying Reinhardt's not a main tank anymore. He's
Flats.
Yeah,
Flats.
No, it wasn't Flats. It was somebody else. I don't remember who it was. He was. I do remember that English was his second language.
Yeah, it was Cloudy. I know what you're talking about.
And he was right. You know, I've been like, I didn't recognize it, but that's how my play style had shifted as Rein. Was I wasn't just shielding my people. I was getting up in the face of somebody I needed to be keeping off of. My, like, the ability to shield my people was created through putting pressure on other people.
Yeah.
Rather than having a shield.
I think that's just part of where the game shifted with a lot of the power has been given to tanks, but in a different way than what it used to be, like way back when. It's not so much you just hold your shield up anymore because the shields are so weak and damage is so high. Yep. It's more you can be so aggressive now with your tanks.
Well, you have no choice. You have no choice. Yeah. You can't just sit there. I mean, when I was playing back when pirate ship was a thing, I mean, I don't, you were, this is before you were playing, but like for months, all you did was just have a Bastion on cart, Orisa Rein, and that was the game right there. Yeah. And you can't do that anymore because, and they recognize that because it's boring to just shield fight over and over again. I think they realized that with the Mei Symmetra meta that was going on. Nobody likes fighting shields for 30 minutes. And so they changed it. And then with the release of the new, every hero that's been released has been extremely high mobility, you know, Hammond, maybe not Sigma so much, but yeah, even Sigma flies way up in the air if he wants to, and has ranged attacks. You know, you don't have a lot of brawlers coming in.
I think a lot of the DPS heroes are not good at fighting tanks anymore. Like, no. In a 1v1, most DPS heroes will lose to a tank. There's very
I used to be afraid of a Reaper as Hog, and it's just not that way anymore. They've beefed up Hog so much at this point that you just heal through it, hook him, and kill him. Like, there's nothing. He can ult in your face, and you can just sit there and laugh at him. Like and Reaper used to be the most frightening thing to a tank.
Yeah, and honestly, you can see that in the pro play too, because a lot of the DPS heroes that are like can actually fight tanks are the ones that they play. Like that's your tracers, that's your mace, that's your McCree. Like those heroes can fight tanks on.
McCree needs to go away. McCree needs to go away forever. I am so tired of McCree and his
Symmetra can melt a tank real fast.
I don't know. You wouldn't think, you know, 100 or 50 health or whatever would be that big of a deal, but oh my god, when a McCree doesn't have to run away from you as Reinhardt, he can just sit there and right click stun, right click like
reload, right click stun, roll, right click.
It's gross. It's like, I am the biggest character on the field. I have the most HP. I have the highest damage per hit, and I am afraid of everybody else.
You're German. You're afraid.
German. I have taken on the whole world at one point, and now I'm afraid of a little man with a pistol. I don't know what to do.
I am very sad Orisa does not see more gameplay.
I'm not. That character is boring as shit. That is the most boring character in Overwatch.
I remember I got run up on by an Orisa, and when she uses that fortify, God, she is scary.
Oh yeah,
like you can't do anything to her. It is crazy. Like she doesn't take damage. She's just immortal. It's basically an immortality button.
No, if she's got a pocket on her, if she is hitting her shots and has a pocket, you're gonna have a bad time. But you know, with how high mobility every character is now, she kind of just gets stuck out when you know, somebody gets picked from behind, and then Orisa's just sitting on point shielding nothing, and that's all she can do because she can't run away. Orisa has no escapes.
She's only got 4 legs. Like, come on.
She deserves a speed buff. I think she does.
She does. I'm surprised they don't. They gave her one during that April Fool's thing where she can move 40% faster.
And you know what? All she did was feel like a regular character. Like some characters went really insane, and she just felt like a regular ass character.
I think she might need that as her passive.
I think there were a lot of things that need to. I'm still one day hoping that Reinhardt can stop his charge. One day. And give Ball back the ability to make him boop. They took it away from me, and there was nothing more fun in Overwatch in all the years I played than listening to running in the 90s and just ramming people off the edge of the map. That was my favorite time in Overwatch, and they totally removed it. I don't even like playing Lijiang Tower anymore. It's not fun. That was my favorite. I would play all day just to play Lijiang Tower with Hamster, and now I can't. Now he's
what do you think about like, in Call of Duty you can vote for the next map? What do you think about that for Overwatch quick play? I think that'd be pretty cool.
For quick play, yeah, absolutely. Even ranked. I agree with that, because nobody wants to play Volskaya. Nobody, I don't.
That's true.
There's maps that nobody wants to play, and like I was saying about like pro sports, like they play on the same field every time, and
yeah,
there's something kind of to that.
I wonder if that would help reduce the like kind of the burnout for pro players if they standardize some of the game modes.
They can get rid of 2CP for all I care. Like there's definitely times I'm playing and I'm having fun, everything's going well, and then Volskaya pops up and I'm like ready to just I'm done. I'm regretting that I even went again for another game. Like I like when they had, I've always wanted like a Lijiang 24/7 map mode, but now without Hammond it's no fun. I don't want to play it anymore.
I'm surprised they honestly don't do that like every day or so, just have a 24/7 map.
They should.
Call of Duty again did that for Nuketown. Like,
and you know how much Nuketown I played? I would play weeks worth of Nuketown. Black Ops 2 all day, every day. I'd wake up, I'd take off work, I'd call out sick so I could play Nuketown. Like that was my jam.
I could guarantee if they did like a 24/7 like Lijiang or King's Row or something like that.
King's Row.
Like that would be really popular.
King's Row is great. I want
them to do that.
They I mean, right now they have the freedom to do whatever they want. I mean, anything is better than nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I don't. I guess the whole pro league thing would be why they don't go absolutely nuts with the.
But even then, whatever. Patches. Just let pro players do whatever they want. That's what 1% of the Overwatch base. Like, not even.
It's way lower.
Yeah,
way lower.
So just let him stay there. Like I was saying, just change the game for people who aren't pro players.
Well, they do play in a separate patch too. So I mean, technically, you could.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there is the PTR, I think, or maybe Overwatch doesn't have. I don't know.
It is PTR, yeah, and then there's also the experimental mode. They don't really use the experimental mode.
They really don't. They don't, and then none of the changes go through ever.
Yeah.
It's
well,
very strange.
The last few have, but it's not as experimental as hoping it would be. I thought it would be like really wacky stuff, like the whole one tank and 4 other players. But really, it's just PTR.
It's just, what if we took this character and changed one of their abilities?
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're actually going to do it, but...
I thought for sure what it was going to be was they're going to be testing their Overwatch 2 changes.
Really?
Into the game. Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be.
This is what leads me to think that Overwatch 2 is going to be nothing. Like, I don't think they're going to change a whole lot about Overwatch itself. I think it's all going to be the PvE stuff that really gets, the long end of the stick.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, because they say that PvP side's such a big focus for us, but then when we see what they've been working on, like we have role passive abilities and a Reinhardt buff. that's our PvP focus for the last year. It's not much.
Meanwhile, Brigitte just sits there sad and lonely.
Only the pros play me.
And even then, it's kind of a meme.
They just play me because I have whip shot.
That's about it. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's kind of. I guess that, like I said, that phrases it up for me as far as Overwatch right now is like anything is better than nothing. So yeah, right now for Overwatch, I love it, but yeah, do whatever with it. I think you're right there. Do whatever you want with it, because nobody.
At this point, doesn't matter.
Then just make it so the pros stay the same. If they're willing to play Overwatch for 8 hours a day, then why change it for them? They obviously like it. But
you know what? Honestly, at this point, remember how they had the experimental mode where it was what the pros thought would be best for the game?
Mhm.
Just fucking give it to them.
Yeah.
like give them their own patch. At this point in time, what does it really matter? Just
I
give them
mean,
their own patch and let them play it how they want, and
I
just
can
make,
see the negative side of that. Like if I was playing a game and I was playing it on a different level, like for Overwatch, if I wasn't playing in the same mode that the pros were playing, I would feel like I'm not playing the real game, if that makes sense. That's just me personally. I don't know if anybody else would
Yeah.
feel that way, but I would
I
want
could
to
see
play.
that.
I don't like playing modded games. I want to play the game how it's meant to be played, so that um, I don't have a good reason for it. That's how I've always felt.
I could see that too. Like the problem is because the game feels like it's being more balanced towards the pros, anyways. This last
Oh,
couple
absolutely,
years,
absolutely.
if you watch enough of Overwatch League, like they are playing a different game. Like
And
it is a different game.
it
for
really
them.
is. It is absolute, and that's like I was saying. I played for 6 years and never had a full six stack of people that I trusted, not once.
It's not even that. Like even like the top 500 grandmasters of the game are not on their level. Like they would get dumpstered because the amount of coordination and the strategies that they are using so effectively, just every time, so consistently, is at such a level where you can't compete with that with any type of non-pre-made group. Like
Absolutely, no, no. I
those
mean,
people practice together all the time.
it's a
Um,
pickup game versus a pro football team. It's not going to work.
yeah. Uh, and I guess the only real problem with why they don't have their own patch at this point is just because I think there were issues where um, players were complaining that they can't practice effectively on ladder because the patches were different. Because this
Mhm.
is already kind of a problem
Yeah,
where their patch is a little bit different than ours, so they can't really practice effectively um, without scrims. So I guess that'd be the only real issue.
what if they added like uh pro ranked and like casual ranked, if that makes sense? I guess you
They
couldn't. I guess that's just ranked and casual, but
they're not allowed technically. You cannot queue. This is actually part of their contract. You actually can't queue with your teammates in
dang.
in ranked. And also, they're probably not going to just because, like, even in scrims, like they usually don't try their hardest because they're just kind of trying to feel out the other teams, see what everyone's playing. You know, it's all mind games there.
Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to actual ladder, when the pros are playing, they're not allowed to actually play with their teammates unless it's by coincidence they happen to run into their teammates on there, but they can't queue with them.
Isn't it at
They'll get
certain?
fired.
Isn't it at like masters and above? You can only duo queue or something like that.
Yep.
Because I mean, it is at heart a team based game, and a team with actual teamwork is going to win 9 times out of 10 against mechanical skill.
I remember that's been a thing too. That's been under scrutiny, mostly by Flats, that Rein player that you watched that one time, because he was saying like, I would rather just like get stomped by people that are like 3 or 4 stacking in Grandmaster top 500 than have to play by myself all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I agree. Like honestly, the matchmaking is pretty good at this point. Where if you're playing with a pre-made, it'll find another one for you to play against.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't, and you will get stomped. But it's honestly not that bad. Like usually, even if you do, like, oh, that's just one game, and you just move on to the next. It's pretty quick.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, oh, whatever.
unless you're queuing as DPS. But
yeah, but then
I mean, if everybody was
DPS,
if
you've
you're-
lost my sympathy. Go play tank.
that's why it's legit why I've never practiced DPS. It's just because I don't want to wait 10 minutes between games.
It's not even 10. It's like 15 to 20 minutes.
10 at
It's
lower
crazy.
ranks. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's true.
um,
That's true.
I want to play the game. I don't want to wait.
Come on, just play some checkers while you're waiting.
No, watch some MasterChef.
It's a master. All right, I think this has gone on way longer than we thought. How long has it been?
Nah, it's been 2 hours.
Oh my gosh!
Surprise, surprise. 2 guys that
Man.
play Overwatch constantly can talk about it for longer than expected. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna call it there. Thank you all for listening.
To our rant.
To our rant. Tyson's still here grumbling. Well, maybe we'll find more games to talk about, or maybe once Overwatch. I don't know. We'll keep it up in the air. But for now, this has been the Dancer's Paradise DLC featuring myself and Mr. Kyler.
Hey.
And follow me on Twitch. Don't follow Kyler anywhere because he doesn't have anything.
No, don't do it. I'll find you. I promise.
Join the Discord. Do the things. We'll catch you next time, and maybe Overwatch will be better then. Cross our fingers.
I'll cross mine.